If you've ever stared at a textbook feeling like your brain just hit the system overload button, yeah, I've been there too. But here's the twist. What if I told you the secret to learning anything faster than everyone else isn't about having a genius IQ? It's actually a simple three-step process. A secret weapon from this one math genius I know. This guy could pick up a new programming language or decode some wild theory in days, not months. Show off, right? But he told me the whole deal. By the end of this video, you'll have his exact framework. But you've got to stick around for the last steps. It's the one everyone skips, and it's the reason most people forget what they learn. Now here's the thing. Most of us are still using the read and hope method. You know, read a page, hope it sticks. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Learning isn't a passive activity, it's an active sport. You've got to train your brain like it's running a marathon, not taking a nap. Today, we're breaking down the three major phases of effective learning: understanding, applying, and retaining. These aren't just fancy buzzwords, they're the difference between knowing and owning knowledge. This whole idea comes from the kind of people who treat information like a video game. They don't just read the manual, they find the cheat codes. And my math genius friend? He once told me, "Most people study to pass a test. I study until I can teach the subject." That's the mindset shift right there. We've all heard that thing about 10,000 hours making you an expert. And yeah, that's kind of true. But it misses the point. Because if you're practicing wrong, you're just getting really good at doing it wrong. The real secret? Deliberate practice. It's not just about doing the thing. It's about focusing on the hardest part of the thing. It's about making your brain work for its dinner. All right, let's break this down. Here are the three phases that make learning low-key easy. Phase 1. Understanding. This is where everyone messes up. They read the words, but they don't get the why. You've got to build a mental model, a map in your head of how things connect. Try this. When you learn a concept, immediately try to explain it to a 5-year-old or a rubber duck. If you can't make it simple, you don't really understand it. That's called the Feynman technique, a fancy name for talk to your imaginary kindergarten class until it makes sense. It forces you to simplify, strip away the jargon, and see the holes in your own understanding. That's where real learning begins. Phase 2. Applying. Do the thing. All right, so you understand it. Nice job. But knowledge without action? That's like downloading a gym app and never doing a single push-up. Here's the deal. This phase is all about deep work. The genius told me, if you're studying for an hour and check your phone even once, you've wasted 20 minutes getting your focus back. 20 minutes! That's like doing mental cardio and tripping on your own shoelace. The solution? The Pomodoro technique, 25-minute focus sprints, followed by short breaks. Energized tone. Think of it as high-intensity interval training for your brain. Because here's the thing. Learning happens when you use what you know. If you're learning to code, build something. If you're learning history, write an essay arguing the opposite side. Do the thing. It's in that messy, frustrating, trying phase that real understanding takes root. That's where you move from theory to mastery. Phase 3. Retaining. The long game. All right, now comes the secret sauce. Because your brain? It loves to delete things it thinks you don't need. If you don't use it, it gets tossed out like old receipts from 3 months ago. That's why we use active recall and spaced repetition. Instead of rereading your notes like a zombie, you test yourself. Review it today, then in 3 days, then a week, then a month. It's like sending a courier with the info, and every time he comes back, you hand him the same package just to make sure he remembers the route. And speaking of routes, let me hit you with a few mind-blowing facts that prove this isn't just theory. Fact 1. The transfer of skills. That math genius could learn programming languages faster because he understood the logic underneath. Once you master the process of learning, you can transfer that to anything: cooking, chess, or even quantum physics. Basically, it's like unlocking the learning multiplier perk in real life. Fact 2. The sleep tax. Did you know your brain literally cleans out the junk while you sleep? So, when you pull an all-nighter, you're not just tired, You're skipping the filing process. That's like doing your taxes and forgetting to hit save. Fact 3. The primacy recency effect. Your brain remembers the first and last things you study best. That's why you should start and end your session with the toughest material. So yeah, sandwich your struggle, hard stuff, chill stuff, hard stuff. Why this actually matters. This isn't just for students, by the way. These phases apply everywhere. Take the YouTube algorithm, for example. You don't learn it by reading a 50-page guide. You apply it. You test a thumbnail, see what works. That's application. Then you review the data. That's active recall. And when you retest next week, boom, spaced repetition. You're basically studying your audience like a scientist in a lab coat. Or take mastering a recipe. You can read it 100 times. That's passive understanding. But you only master it when you try to cook it without looking. The burnt food, that's your active recall feedback. And that's the beauty of this system. When you understand, apply, and retain, learning stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a superpower. Perfect. Time for the Lowkey. Easy summary. We covered a lot, so let's lock it in before your brain decides to eject it like an old USB drive. The goal. Don't just absorb knowledge, internalize it until it's second nature. Phase 1. Understanding. Use the Feynman technique. Explain it simply. If you can't explain it, you don't understand it, yet. Phase 2. Applying. Use deep work sessions, like Pomodoro sprints. Put the phone down. Yes, even if it buzzes. Do the thing. Don't just read about the thing. Phase 3. Retaining. This is your secret weapon. Use active recall and spaced repetition. Test yourself. Review at longer intervals. That's how your brain moves info from temporary to permanent. That's the framework. Now you know how the pros level up so fast, not because they're smarter, but because they've trained their brains smarter. But hey, there's a catch. Knowing the framework is only half the battle. The real edge, what separates super learners from everyone else, is how they set up their environment. If this guide helped you level up your learning today, hit that like button. It tells me to keep dropping these simple study hacks that make tough topics feel, well, low-key easy. Now go try the Pomodoro technique right now and tell me in the comments, what complex topic are you about to make low-key easy?